ọmọ mi ayọ̀ mi mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi fún mi. You are a blessing, not a lesson. I can't wait for you to call me daddy. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún. I feel so lucky that I got you. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún. I feel so blessed that I got you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back again to today's program. My name is Riziki Ahmed, a psychologist at Hidayah Timeless Solutions. We've been talking about parenting, which is very important. As we have been talking about it, I think we have understood the significance of being good parents and the importance of having children who have been well brought up. So last week we were talking about the children who are basically in primary school, the 7 years to around 10, and we said that they are very industrious and that these children are now in a place where we said now they are using their cognitive abilities. They are able to learn new skills, gain knowledge. That's the time when they're introduced to a lot of lessons. If they were in pre-unit, they would not have done many other lessons. Now they are doing geography, science, history, maths, English, literature. They are doing much more than they were doing before. So this is the time where we are saying that their brains are actually ready to take in this knowledge. So as a Muslim parent, what does that mean? It means this is the time we also start training our children on Salah. We say this is the time we also teach our children on Islamic principles. This is the time we also teach them Islamic history. This is the time that we want them to have a very strong Islamic foundation. So this is a very, very important time for each parent. This is the time we put in the values we want in our children. This is the time we put in the beliefs we want. This is the time that we are now really making the person we want this child to be. So it's a very, very important time. So I don't know, as parents, when we finished this talk last week, did you sit back and ask yourself, have I been doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Did you look at yourself as you're looking at your child's report form or as you're looking at your child's progress and try to use the skills we talked about last week? So I think it's important that anytime that we are discussing, we try and integrate the information that we are getting practically by actually doing it practically with our children and now seeing, is it bearing fruits? Do you have any questions you'd like me to answer? Are there things you want clarified? What is it you'd like us to talk more about, especially with this parenting? And as Muslim parents, we also know this is the time that we are told that we can actually start teaching them prayer and beating them when they don't pray. And last time we talked about discipline and what is the role of discipline in these children's life. And as we all agree that if we don't have any discipline put in place, we might lose our children. So there must be rules and regulations. This is the time to have them put in place. So it's not a time that we can take for granted, because as we know, the next stage they are going to is the adolescent stage. So adolescent stage is now where we are looking at the values that we have put in, everything that we have taught. Is it now going to work? Because we keep saying children give us problems when they get to adolescent. But why are they giving us problems? Because maybe we missed some of these stages that we have been talking about. So I would like us to just take a moment and think about our own selves. When we were in primary school, at that age, what were we doing? And do we think we negotiated it in the right way? Did we come out feeling we are competent because we got people who encouraged us? Or did we come out with a sense of inferiority? Because if you don't come out feeling competent, you come out feeling inferior. So when you look at yourself in life, do you ever have a sense of inferiority? Where do you think it is coming from? Do you feel you are able to start anything, initiative, and you accomplish it? Or do you find yourself not completing tasks? If you feel that you're not doing that, it means that somebody somewhere made you feel that you're not competent enough. And now that is where we are saying, let us not do the same to our children. Let us not make our children feel they're not competent enough. We want them to be people who can accomplish any goal they set out to do. And it's all coming back to us. And as we all remember, the time we get this baby, they're usually very nice and sweet. looking very lovely. Everybody wants to do this to them, and they're really, really sweet. And at times, you even wish you could eat them. Now, they're so sweet, you wish you could eat them. Then as they are growing, as they're going now through these stages, and then they get to the adolescent stage, and that's the time that now you wish you had actually eaten them. Like you just wish, wow, I wish I had eaten you when you were so sweet before you became this terror that you're now becoming. So at an adolescent stage, which is the stage that we want to discuss, it's asking, at this stage, why do we always say they are a terror? Why do you always feel a sense of fear? Any parent you talk to tells you, I don't know how to deal with my adolescent. I don't know how I'm going to deal with my child when they get to adolescent. Or anytime I think of my child in adolescent, I get scared. So I was thinking about today's topic on adolescent. I actually went back to my own life. What was I during adolescence? What was I thinking during adolescence? And what came into my mind was that I was so preoccupied with my image. I wanted to look nice. I cared so much about what people thought about how I looked. And I was actually remembering that I never wanted to be seen by my peers acting in a way that was not what was supposed to be cool or something. I don't know how we used to call it, but it used to be like you had to be cool. So carrying something like kale, skuma wiki, was like I never wanted to be seen carrying skuma wiki. I would actually ask the shopkeeper to wrap them until they look like I'm carrying roses or something like that. And why? Because my image was at stake. So my mom would not understand, why is she wrapping this? Or I never wanted to be sent to buy certain things. Like it would actually tarnish my image. So it was about, image was everything. And that is what an adolescent is all about. Their image is everything. Our peers are very important. At that point, our friends are more important than our own parents. Like when you're an adolescent, your peers are the next important person in your life. Whatever they say goes, whatever the parent says does not go. So we actually live by their standards. So as we are parents here, I always want us to go back and ask ourselves, what do you remember of your adolescent stage? What was the most atrocious thing that you ever did when you were an adolescent, and how did it go? And I always believe everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell on adolescent. I was speaking to somebody who told me that's the first time he ever tried to raise his hand at his mom. I was speaking to another parent and she told me that's the first time her child is telling her, you call the child and they're not responding, you call again and they're not responding. Then they come and she's asking, why are you not responding? And she says, but mom, I already had. What is it? So that's the time this child is like now trying to assert themselves. They're trying to show you that I'm not just you. I have my own independence. I can make up my own decisions. I have a mind of my own. The problem is at adolescent stage, they are in between being kids and being an adult. So I always say there are times when they will act like an adult and we are very proud of them. And there are times when they go back to acting like that kid. So they are in between there. They're trying to become an adult and they're no longer a kid. So they are in between adulthood and being a child. So most of the times they'll forget, be that child. Sometimes they'll forget and be that adult. So how do we deal with when they are being adult? How do we deal with when they go back down there and just become that kid? So as a parent, am I aware that my child is actually trying to negotiate into adulthood? My child is actually going through so much. Because we know that in adolescent is the time our bodies start changing. Remember I told you image is everything. This is the time when this child will notice that there's a lot of body change. For the girls, we know that they will start now having their menses. Their hips will start getting bigger. They'll start growing breasts. They start looking different and more womanly. For the boys, they are starting to break their voice. They are also now starting to look more male, more masculine. And there's this feeling of they are now able to notice the other sex. Before, maybe they never even noticed them so much. But now they are more aware of each other. And I think in Islam, it's also very important we remember that even as children are growing, we are told that at a certain age, we separate them in their beds. That's the time we say now they cannot sleep together. They need to sleep in different beds. If we cannot afford different beds, we don't have different rooms, we are told now to give them different beddings. Why? Because their bodies are now growing. We don't want to cause any fitna. So Islam has taken account of each stage of these children's development. So at this stage, most of the time, they'll actually be either doing their class 8, if they're in a government school, or they're in Form 1, some of them. And that is the time then these children are now starting to realize that I'm actually growing to get out of my parents' house. I'm eventually becoming somebody with a mind of my own. So as parents, are we ready to let our children have a mind of their own? This is the time we start asking ourselves, the stages that we talked about, did I put in everything that was needed? Because this is when we now get the test. This is when we get tested as parents, that now the test is, did I put everything I wanted in my child? Because this is when the result will be seen. Because this is the time when we feel children are able now to make certain decisions, make certain mistakes, or actually negotiate and move on with their lives to become the people we want them to be. Because the next stage is adulthood. So we are going for a short break. As we come back for the short break, I want us to have thought about what we remember about our adolescence, how we negotiated it, and now we bring it back to how we feel our children are going through and how they are going to negotiate through it. And also we can start looking at the adolescents in our house and see what is it we've noticed about them, what are the things that we feel we did right, and what are maybe the things that we feel we didn't do right. So as we go to the next stage, I'm sure we'll be thinking about that. You can grab your cup of tea, your glass of water, and sit back. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the program. I hope you are now seated comfortably. You have actually done a bit of thinking. We've said we go back and remember our adolescent days. What do we remember? I hope we all have a story that we can share with our children comfortably. I know some stories are not very comfortable to share. Whatever we have that we can share comfortably, we can share with them and talk about our adolescent days. So what age is it that we usually talk about when you're talking about adolescent? Usually it's around from 12 years to 18 years. And at this age, as we have said, it's the time somebody is trying to negotiate into adulthood from being a child or from being a young person. Now they're trying to get into adulthood. So they are going to work on what we have been putting in as values. That's what we all agreed on. So the most important thing is to remember that this stage is what we call identity. Like they want to have a sense of identity. Who am I? That's the time they start questioning themselves. Who am I? If I'm a female, what kind of a person am I? What is it that is different about me from the other? That's the time they notice the male and see the difference between each other. That's the time they want to know, what am I? What do I want to be? What do I want to achieve in life? They actually start creating their own sort of independence. This is the time you'll notice that they will want to do things on their own. This is the time you'll notice they will not want to listen a lot to the adult in the home. They want to have a mind of their own. They want to make their own decisions. They want to be heard. They want to be felt in the house. They want to have a sense of, I am also important in this house. I also matter. And at some time, we as parents get very uncomfortable with this kind of child because we are not yet ready to relinquish anything. And they are asking us to let go. They are actually telling us, I'm now somebody with an identity. Please let me be me. And at that point, we are not ready. So if we are not ready, what happens is that we start having friction with our children because we are not letting them be. We want them to still continue being that sweet kid that we said we wished we had eaten. We wished we could eat. And then now when they're at this age, we're like, I wish I even ate you at that point. Because now they are rebelling. They are not listening to everything we are saying. They are actually arguing our points. Like when you tell them something, they will ask you, why must I do this? Why should it be done this way? Why not this way? They are coming up with their own suggestions on how we can run the house. They're even coming up with their own suggestions of how we can use money. They even want to know why you have certain friends, you as a parent, why don't we do this, why don't we do that. They actually want to be felt in that house, and at that point maybe we are not ready to have them being felt, and that's when we start having problems. So as parents, what should we do? One, we must remember they are looking for a sense of identity. They want to feel they are somebody who can make certain decisions, who has a mind of their own. So how do we help them so that they don't feel like we are actually fighting their sense of independence? They're trying to be independent. They want to be somebody who can walk into adulthood feeling nice about themselves. And they're actually discovering their talents. They know what they want in life. And they have friends. This time we say their peers are so important. Their friends are very, very important. And they will go by decisions based on their friends more than on what you think. So as a parent, that is very disturbing. Like you're wondering, I've been bringing up this child, I've been putting in all the values, I've been their friend, I've been there for them. So why are they putting me on the side? Why are their friends taking over? Why are their friends making decisions for them? Why are their friends more important than I am? Why do I feel left out? Because at times parents do feel left out. I had a parent once, I gave a talk on adolescents and the way they behave. And she actually came up to me and told me, I thought my daughter hated me. I thought my daughter didn't want anything to do with me anymore. And I was getting really disturbed. I felt like we are losing touch with each other. And she told me she was getting really concerned and was feeling like the daughter just did not love her anymore. So she told me, from the talk you have given, I've actually realized that my daughter loves me, but her friends are important at this time, and that I need to let her be and still show her that I'm still there, and that actually I can work with her even if the friends are coming in more, but I can actually still be there, so I can still find my space. And she told me she was feeling very nice after having realized that her daughter didn't hate her. So at times as parents, we go into our cocoon and we start thinking, this child does not appreciate all what I've done for them. They only care about other people. They don't care about me. So what can we do as parents? Remember, this child is trying to be independent. They are in your house. They are trying to get their own identity. So what can we do to at least give them that space to gain a sense of identity? One, as a parent, start giving them some responsibilities. So I always say at times you can give them a responsibility, like you can tell them you're the one to check out the rations in the house, put down what is getting finished and write down, maybe come up with a budget at the end of the month of what we are going to buy, and maybe even go with them shopping and let them do the shopping. So can we start giving them some responsibilities and also start believing in them, like they are able to do something. So we don't just keep marking them and checking up on them and forgetting that at this time they are actually, they want to be on their own. They don't want you touching their things. They want to have that sense of you respect my space. They actually want their space respected. So how do we respect their space? We can knock before we enter their room. They are now not very small kids. So as a parent, you can actually knock the door. You're also teaching them that even them, they need to give you some privacy. They don't walk into your room and you don't walk into their room. You can knock the door to let them know you want to get into their room. You don't go touching their things and going through them without letting them know that maybe I would like to go through maybe your stuff if you're suspicious of anything. So it's about you giving them some space, some respect, and also believing in them. And if there is something that is worrying you about them, the best thing is to talk to them. Sit the young person down, the adolescent, and tell them I'm a bit concerned about something, and explain to them. And then keep reminding them that this is what can happen. And the most important thing is always have a set of rules that they live by. Even when they are adolescents, they still need to live by a set of rules. And most of the young people I've actually counseled, I've realized that they did not have a set of rules to live by. And most of them end up blaming the parent. And they tell me, I wish my parent had actually told me that going this way was going to mess me up. I wish my parent had actually put some kind of rule that would have made me not go down that lane. So at times we come back again to us as parents. You have adolescents in your house. what set of rules have you put in place that respect the adolescent, give them their privacy, give them their space, but still you're giving them a space to operate within that is guided. We don't let them just go scot-free. We still need to put some things in place. When we have these adolescents, we'll find that we have a problem of time. They want to come at a certain time. They want to do something more out there. They want to go to their friends. That's the time they start coming up with stories of sleepovers. I would like to go and sleep at so-and-so's house. Or I would like to bring so-and-so to the house. I would like to bring my friends over. My friends and I would like to do this. So this is the time you as a parent, you need actually to get to know who are the friends of your children. So I always say it's a good idea to tell them to invite their friends over. Have lunch or something, sit with them, talk to them, study the friends, try and know what kind of friends your child has. And then you can advise, like, your friends, I'm a bit worried about this friend, or I like your friends, but this. You can actually advise, and do not tell them cut off this friend, because they will not. You'll start having a rebellion. And then you can advise your child about what you feel about their friends and what is friendship. This is a time also when they break friendship, you can see they'll be very hurt by it. And you as a parent need to be there to help them go through the hurt when they have gone away, when they have quarreled with their friends. Also, do not let your child go to any home. When they're telling you they want to go for a sleepover, you don't know what are the values in that other home. You don't know who is in that other home. We don't know if we have any predators, very bad people in that other home that can do something bad to your child. So we don't just open the door and let your child go because maybe everybody is doing it. We have this assumption that everybody is doing it, so even my child can go and have a sleepover. I believe before you let your child go to any home to sleep, you must go to that home. You must know who is in that home, what are their values, what are their beliefs, are they similar to your values, are they similar to your beliefs, and that is the only time you can actually let your child go. And as a Muslim parent, can we really let our girls go just anyhow? Even our boys, do we just let them go to any home and have a sleepover? Because that is very, very dangerous. And I think as modern parents, we have that word we keep calling sleepovers, sleepovers, sleepovers. I think it's a dangerous notion, and it's something that we as parents have to really be very careful with. As much as we know these are adolescents, they will fight about it, they will quarrel about it, but let us also let them know there is space. And as we are talking about adolescents, we know there is so much that is happening. I'm talking about sleepovers in other homes. I'm talking about so many other things. But we have a social media, which is also a home that has nobody to dictate, nobody to censor. So as we go on, as we're talking about adolescents, we're going to touch on very many aspects. We know this is the time that they experiment. They experiment with relationships, the time they'll want to have maybe somebody whom they can call a friend who is from the opposite sex. This is the time they will experiment with any form of drug, a cigarette. They'll want to know why other people are doing certain things. This is the time they have so many questions, and this is the time they're also aware of their sexuality. So you as parents, are you ready to answer all the questions that are going through them? Are we in a place where we understand what is happening to them? Are we creating a very conducive environment where we can have candid conversations with this child as they develop their identity? Because we say if they don't develop it, they get what we call confusion. So they become a confused person who is likely to dabble into any other things that are not the best. This is Riziki Ahmed. So see you next week as we continue our conversation on adolescence.
You are a blessing, not a lesson. I can't wait for you to call me daddy. I feel so lucky that I got you. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún.